All right, picking up where that one left off, which is at a very annoying spot. 29 divided by sine 73 is 30.3. So the length of the hypotenuse of this triangle is 30.3. All right, so we're going to go ahead to cosine. You can see sine is opposite and hypotenuse. That's part of the SO in SOHCAHTOA. All right, so cosine is a friend of sine, and it works exactly the same way. Cosine theta, cosine of the angle, equals adjacent this time over the hypotenuse. All right, and if we look over here and we're talking about the cosine of angle A, we want adjacent 5 over the hypotenuse, 13. But if we stand over here in angle B, adjacent is now 12, and the hypotenuse is still 13. All right, so exactly the same deal as sine, just a different relationship, adjacent and hypotenuse this time instead of opposite and hypotenuse. All right, so we're going to go through the same process we did for sine, but finding angles and finding sides. Hopefully, when you find angles, you remember that we're going to use the inverse function. That's going to spit out the angle for us. So cosine x equals adjacent, which is right next to it, over the hypotenuse across from the right angle. Because our variable is the angle, we're going to switch to the inverse, and we're going to move the ratio fraction over there. And then in the calculator, we're going to press second cosine now, because COS stands for cosine, and type in 44 over, I keep wanting to put 62, 52. So that angle is 32.2 degrees. All right, go ahead and try number 10, and then check it with mine. All right, I hope that you got 37.7 degrees. Also, I just want to point out what would happen if you accidentally flip this over. If you did the cosine of 24 over 19, inverse cosine, it's going to give you an error because you cannot have the bigger number on top in cosine or sine, because those are the hypotenuse and it has to be the biggest. All right, I'm going to show you how to find sides on one cosine style, and you're going to do the other. So we want the cosine of 62. We know this is cosine because there's the angle they gave us, and we have the adjacent and hypotenuse sides. Cosine of 62 is x over 7. So you can go ahead and cross multiply. X equals 7 cosine 62, and then type that in. So x equals 3.3, whatever units of measure that is. This is a side, so this is 3.3. All right, pause the video, set up number 12, and then restart the video and see if you did what I did. All right, hopefully you got the same answer as me and you just quickly watched me do that because you already had it done. All right, so that's sine and cosine. They work exactly the same. And there's one more that we're going to use. Tangent. So tangent is the same deal. Tangent of the angle, we use theta or x. But if you see OA, it's opposite over adjacent this time. So you have to be really careful to know the difference between opposite and adjacent. If we're talking about the tangent of angle A, we're standing on angle A. Opposite would be 12, and adjacent would be 5. I know that that angle is touching the hypotenuse, but the hypotenuse is special, so you don't get to use that. And then if we move over here to angle B, opposite changes. Now it's 5 over adjacent, which is now 12. So you see how it really depends on which angle you're standing in. That's like the most important thing. All right, let's do some. You should be an expert by now because it's exactly the same as sine and cosine. The hard part is going to be later when we have to decide which to use when. So for angles, we're going to use the inverse. We want to set it up. Tangent x, we're looking for an angle, equals opposite over adjacent. 21 over 25. Because we're looking for an angle, you're going to use the inverse. So tan negative 1, 21 over 25. And now we're going to use that part on our calculator. So we're going to do second tan, inverse tan, and then type in our little ratio, 40 degrees. All right, do number 16, do this one, and then come back and check your answer with mine. Are you so excited that you got that right? All right, now we're going to find sides. I'm going to do one, you're going to do the other. First, I should probably highlight the hypotenuse. But wait, we don't need to because it's tangent and the hypotenuse doesn't matter. All right, so we want to do tan of the angle we're given, tangent 75 equals opposite over hypotenuse, or not hypotenuse, what am I saying? Adjacent. All right, do your little cross multiplying action. Make sure you keep tan 75 together because it would be weird if you switch those around. It won't be right. 18 times tangent 75. So that side of that triangle is 67.2. Can you imagine how big the hypotenuse is going to be then? Because it has to be bigger. All right, do the next one and check yours with mine. All right, I hope you're celebrating. All right, I'm going to stop this one and then come back on the third. I think we're on the third one now. The third one to talk about how it looks when it's mixed together and how you decide which one to use because these first ones have all been very straightforward.